Well, thank you very much. I know it's late in the afternoon, and I think a lot of people are tired or want to head to the bar soon. So this is my first time at the one-to-one in London, and I'm glad to be here. Glad to be able to present. When we think about Eastmain Resources, we're thinking high-grade gold in James Bay, Quebec. I will be making some forward-looking statements today. I've been with the company about 3 years. My background is 30 years in mining, right from advanced exploration to building mines to operating mines. And I was an independent director of the company 3 years ago, and we decided to make some management changes, took over, built a new team, new board, went forward with the assets in Quebec. We're the most aggressive juniors in the region when it comes to gold exploration. And we are focused on some key assets, 2 properties. So Clearwater is our main property. It's got 2 assets on it. One is called the Eau Claire Project. The other one is the Percival Discovery. I'll quickly talk about those today, as well as a third project on the Eleanor South joint venture property. Capital structure, we're on the main board on the TSX under ER. We're worth around 25 to 30 billion Canadian lately, and fairly liquid, around 500,000 shares traded on a daily basis, covered by 6 sell-side analysts. Their price target consensus is 79 cents. I believe our stock Friday was around 11.5 cents. Well-funded, $4.7 million in the bank. That takes us into early next year, enough to execute on our plans for the rest of the year. We are heavy on the retail side when it comes to shareholders, about 72%, which has hurt us, obviously, in this kind of market with the crypto and the cannabis. We do hope the investors will come back to gold equities eventually. And on the corporate side, we have Eldorado as a passive investment. This used to be the old Integra position. Integra had invested in us when I took over 3 years ago, and then they got bought out by Eldorado. So that position was passed on to Eldorado and remains in their portfolio as a passive position. The other institutionals are pretty well-known names, such as Conway, Van Eck, Goodman, Caisse de dépôt from Montreal, US Global from Texas. As insiders, we continue to invest in the company ourselves. I'm up to 1.4% of the company. I'm the 8th largest shareholder, and continue to increase my position in the open market and or through financings. There's a 3 project on the map. You can see the bottom, Clearwater, with the 2, the main project, Eau Claire, and the red star is the new Percival Discovery. And then we've got Eleanor South to the north, about 50 kilometers near the Eleanor mine owned by Newmont and Goldcorp. So when we talk about Eau Claire, we got good infrastructure, road access into the site. We're 18 kilometers away from power. So it's a very well-situated project, good infrastructure. And then you see the Percival Discovery is about 14 kilometers to the east. So we did a preliminary economic assessment issued about a year ago on Eau Claire, very robust, some very strong numbers. We're talking about financials being net present value after tax, $260 million. IRR after tax, 27%, payback 3 years, fairly low capex of $175 million, and all-in sustaining costs around $574 an ounce. When it comes to the operational side, it's a 12-year mine life, 3-year open pit, 9-year underground, 1,500 ton per day, 86,000 ounces per year in the first 10 years. So fairly high-grade open pit. Our pit is at 3.78 gram, so that'll be one of the highest grades open pit for gold once we put that into production, and then we go underground These are fully diluted grades. Recovery is 95%. So very solid project, very robust, nothing complicated, fairly straightforward, off the shelf. Smaller scale, we think we can get to maybe 100,000 ounces a year through the feasibility study by doing some optimization. But basically 1 million ounces mineable, that's the deposit. And this just represents the distribution of the ounces. In the top right, you see the open pit ounces, about 200,000 ounces, so 20% of the resource, mineable resource, is in the open pits. And then we go underground, showing in the graph per 100 meter slice, you see where the tons and the ounces are distributed. So very well drilled down to 600 meters deep. And then after that, we need to do more drilling to then turn that around and add ounces between 600 and 860 meters. So the schedule looks like this, basically doing more work, getting to permitting and feasibility study within 2.5 years, then construction, and then we go into production late 2022, 2023. But meanwhile, other than pre-development activities, we are continuing to explore, fairly important, on the property. And what's exciting there is we did focus on that last year, and we resulted in announcing a brand new discovery nearby, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. You see Eau Claire on the west side or on the left of the picture, and then Percival along the Canard Deformation Zone. So Percival is an area we focused on simply because we had good soil work, soils and grab samples off outcrops, and we decided we had identified this KS horizon, which is actually a geological feature. It's a ridge, and we decided to go to Percival, start drilling, and sure enough, we hit, and it's been pretty exciting since. We put 17 holes at Percival, 13 have been released, 4 are coming soon, but basically it's been a success and it's been growing. But we're currently doing work along essentially this KS horizon. So you see a VTEM here on the right, so flown electromagnetic survey, and you can see how it jumps off the page. And Percival's right at the beginning at the bottom, and then we're moving east from there. So we're doing some summer work right now, and then eventually we'll return with drilling starting in August and for the rest of the year. So pretty exciting. We think we can extend the mineralization significantly to the east over a few kilometers. And this was the original discovery. I won't go through into too much detail, but basically we're now on a footprint of 650 meters by 250 meter. And you can see 3 structures, mineralized structures we've identified, and we're continuing, as I said, moving east from this point. The last project I'd like to talk about is the Eleanor South joint venture, which is a joint venture with Newmont Goldcorp. We're at 36.7% owners, as Newmont Goldcorp is, and we are the operators on this. So there's been a discovery there announced 1.5 years ago. We're continuing to move on this. We're 15 kilometers, the discovery is 15 kilometers in a straight line to the Eleanor Mill. The Eleanor Mill has capacity, about 2,500 ton per day of capacity that they're not using, and they would love to have some feed for that. So we're continuing to advance this discovery, fairly massive, 1.5 kilometer long, about a kilometer wide. We're talking high-grade gold, 40 grams over 7 meters, medium-grade gold, 5 grams over 45 meters, and low-grade gold, 0.65 grams over 140 meters. Big, massive gold system. We're continuing to advance this. We want to get to a resource maybe by later next year, and this could become a satellite of the Eleanor mine. So on that note, we're continuing to work on our 3 key projects, the 2 discoveries, and the Eau Claire project, which is our anchor project. Thank you very much.